The desert heat rose in visible waves from the cracked asphalt of Groom Lake's restricted flight line, a shimmering curtain that turned the horizon into liquid mercury. Captain Elena Volkova stood motionless beside Falcon 19 Echo, the Air Force's most secretive airframe, its angular skin painted in a radar-absorbing matte, so absolute it seemed to erase itself from the world. Only 12 pilots on the planet were qualified to fly it. She had become the 12th 6 months earlier after a brutal 18-month evaluation that left stronger candidates broken on the simulator floor. Her flight suit was almost austere. Name tape U.S. flag, and the single subdued patch of the 99th Test and Evaluation Squadron, a silver owl clutching a broken lightning bolt. Nothing else. No ego, no history lesson sewn on sleeves. Senior Master Sergeant Harlan McAllister approached with the lazy swagger of a man who believed the flight line belonged to him by divine right. 32 years of grease under his nails, hash marks climbing both arms like ivy, and a reputation for being able to make any aircraft kneel or refuse to fly depending on how much he liked the pilot. He carried his data tablet like a judge's gavel, stopping just inside her personal space. He let his eyes crawl over her with deliberate slowness before settling on the jet. "Captain," he said, stretching the word until it dripped contempt. "System's throwing a red flag on your high-G envelope certification. Looks like somebody forgot to deny." Volkova kept her gaze fixed on the heads-up display reflected in the canopy glass. Certification was renewed 41 days ago. Digital signature, General Hargrove. McAllister offered a dry chuckle that carried across the tarmac. "General Hargrove isn't sweating his balls off out here, little lady. I am. And this bird," he patted the Falcon's flank with possessive familiarity, "she's temperamental. Needs a feel that only comes with age and the right chromosomes." Several young crew chiefs pretending to torque bolts suddenly found reasons to freeze in place, ears wide open. The insult landed naked and ugly in the open air, witnessed, recorded by the always-hot mission recorder clipped to her harness. Volkova's voice stayed flat as a runway. "Senior Master Sergeant McAllister, are you refusing to release the aircraft?" He grinned wide enough to show tobacco stains. "Not refusing. Deferring for safety. Gotta hand verify every page of your training jacket. Could take days." He tapped the tablet with theatrical deliberation, grounding her in front of an audience. Volkova reached up, double-tapped the recorder, amber light, 5-minute loop secured, then turned and walked away without another word. McAllister's triumphant laugh chased her across the burning concrete. He thought he had drawn first blood. He had actually just handed her a loaded weapon. That night, in quarters so sparse they echoed, Volkova sat beneath a single gooseneck lamp and began constructing a case the way a sniper builds a shot, one precise adjustment at a time. She filed an official incident report, routing it directly to the group commander with the encrypted recorder clip attached. Then she went hunting. Using her test pilot clearance, she pulled every maintenance log, pre-flight diagnostic, and post-flight telemetry packet for every Falcon 19 sortie flown in the last 8 months. McAllister had been the final releasing NCO on 21 of the 29 flights. She built a matrix, pilot name, rank, gender, years, and program versus sensor calibration values for quantum phase array cluster, the heart of the jet's ability to see through enemy jamming. The pattern emerged like a tumor on an X-ray. Every sortie flown by senior male lieutenant colonels and above showed perfect 0-point calibration across all 24 nodes. Every sortie flown by 04 and below, especially the 3 female captains, including herself, showed a consistent 9 nanosecond positive latency between nodes 7 and 8. 9 nanoseconds was inside the green tolerance band for every automated pre-flight check, invisible to normal diagnostics. But when she fed the offset into a classified ECM simulation, the result was devastating. Under the exact jamming waveform used by the new Viper M adversary drone, that 9 nanosecond poison caused the entire array to bloom with ghost targets, turning a God's eye sensor into a snow globe. It was sabotage so subtle it was almost beautiful, designed not to crash jets but to make certain pilots look slow, hesitant, second-rate. She isolated the digital fingerprint of the manual override required to introduce the offset, encrypted the entire analysis, and attached it to her original report on the bland title, Observe Anomaly in Phase Array Synchronization, Falcon 19. No emotion, no accusations, only data cold enough to burn. She hit send at 0247. Then she slept 4 hours, woke, showered, and waited for the institution to react the only way it knew how, by trying to crush the messenger. The counterattack came fast and predictable. By breakfast, McAllister's version dominated the chow hall. Arrogant female officer trying to bully her way into a cockpit, throwing complaints when told no for legitimate safety reasons. A few old guard chiefs nodded along. Most of the younger troops stared at their trays. At 1100, Volkova's tablet chimed with McAllister's own formal complaint. Conduct unbecoming. Attempted coercion of an NCO. Misuse of recording equipment for intimidation purposes. He was daring her to fight inside the bureaucracy he had mastered over 3 decades. At 1400, she stood in Colonel Reyes' office, while the group commander stared out at the flight line, hands clasped behind his back like a man deciding which child to disown. I've got 2 conflicting reports and a headache, Captain. Tomorrow at 0800 we run the Viper M drone in a live sensor duel. You'll fly Echo. Major Callahan will fly Alpha. McAllister crews Alpha personally. Master Chief Park crews yours. Park doesn't miss details. The jets will tell me who's lying. The next morning broke cold and razor sharp. On the line, McAllister swarmed over Callahan's jet like a proud father, barking orders, basking in attention. At Volkova's bird, Master Chief Park worked in monastic silence, tools moving with surgical grace. When he handed her the tablet, every single value was textbook perfect. He met her eyes once, gave a nod so slight enough to deny of question, and walked away. Strapped in, canopy down, Volkova listened to Callahan's easy bandwidth tower while the drone launched. Within 30 seconds of the Viper MS ECM pod coming alive, Callahan's voice tightened. This jamming is filthy, losing burn through, contacts everywhere. Volkova saw the same brutal hash on her screen, but recognized the waveform instantly, exactly the one her simulation predicted would marry with McAllister's 9-nanosecond poison. So she did something insane. She slammed the throttles to Zone 5 afterburner, yanked the Falcon vertical, rolled inverted, and pulled into a 9G knife-edge loop that grayed her vision and crushed her lungs. At the apex, for 1 perfect half-second, her radical Doppler shift yanked the jamming frequency out of phase with the drone's real emissions. The noise vanished. One hard return painted bright and solid. Fox 3 simulated hard lock, she called voice comm as death, 9 seconds from maneuver to kill. In the control room, the split screen told the entire ugly story. Callahan's feet a blizzard, Volkova's a laser. Colonel Reyes terminated the exercise, impounded Callahan's jet, and ordered security to escort McAllister off the line. The old man's face had gone the color of wet ashes. 20 years of reputation collapsed in front of the entire command staff. 3 days later, the Board of Inquiry lasted less than an hour. Volkova presented a recorder clip, the 8-month telemetry correlation, the simulation, and finally the side-by-side drone footage. Chaos on one screen, crystalline lock on the other. Master Chief Park took the stand holding a single sensor, node the size of a fist. Someone deliberately introduced a 9-nanosecond offset between nodes 7 and 8. That offset passes every automated check, but creates a harmonic resonance vulnerable to specific ECM waveforms, like the Viper MS. Achieving that exact value every single time requires manual override of the calibration sequence. It is not negligence. It is craftsmanship. The killing blow came from the cyber forensics team. Screenshots from an encrypted forum where McAllister, under the handle Old School Wrench, bragged 2 weeks earlier, gave the Diversity Hires jet the special tune. She'll be chasing ghosts while real pilots rack kills. Some cockpits gotta stay sacred. 2 weeks after that, the entire group stood in rigid formation inside the cavernous hangar, both Falcon 19s parked behind like silent judges. A lieutenant colonel read the charges in a voice stripped of mercy: willful hazarding of aircraft, conduct prejudicial to good order and discipline. McAllister was marched past in a blank uniform. No rank, no name tape, career reduced to echoes. Then Colonel Reyes called Captain Volkova front and center. He pinned a new patch to her shoulder. The silver owl now had eyes of cold starlight and a single Latin word beneath, veritas. You expose a vulnerability in our hardware and in our culture, Reyes said, voice carrying to the rafters. The trust of this wing is yours. As she stepped back, Major Callahan rendered the first salute, sharp, heartfelt, eyes locked forward. The gesture rippled down the ranks until every pilot stood at perfect attention, hands raised in unanimous, wordless respect. 6 weeks later, on a frost-rimed dawn, Volkova taxied Falcon Echo out again. A young female crew chief, hand-selected by Park, snapped a perfect salute. "She's singing, ma'am." Colonel Reyes came up on tower frequency. "Your ECM counter is now Classified Doctrine of Crosshair Combat Command, Captain. You rewrote the book." Volkova lined up on the endless white stripe, throttles idle, waiting. "Correction complete," she said quietly, and firewalled the engines. The jet roared forward, clean, hungry, unforgiving. Exactly the machine it was always meant to be, piloted by the one person who refused to let it be anything less.